Alright, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, humans and pets, welcome to the Mobile Mayhem North America YAWN Tournament Season 1, the grand final day. I'm your caster, AssassinDave. With me, the sexy and charming and attractive Tasty Bacon. How are you doing, Tasty?
Doing great. Cannot wait to get those finals underway. We saw yesterday Tribe and Goons just tear through their competition on their way to this head-to-head matchup. But before we get to those grand finals, we have a little issue of the third and fourth place game to take care of, Dave.
Yeah, in order to solve those issues, we're gonna go ahead and show you guys the third and fourth match right off the bat. Remember, it's still best out of 5 and it's all-run band pick format. Before we get into the match, ladies and gentlemen, this tournament is made possible by Mobile Mayhem and Trovo.live. If you're watching the stream right now, make sure to head to Trovo.live with the link in the chat, because the grand finals will be streamed exclusively on Trovo. What are you waiting for? Head over there right now, get your popcorn, get your soda, because we shall head to the first game band pick between Mobile Mayhem and Team YAWN right away.
Already, teams are raring to go. We've got the first draft underway. It is going to be Ziggs banned away by the side of Mayhem, whereas YAWN, they're taking the Camille off the board, which is something that we haven't really seen any teams put a lot of a focus on the Camille ban. We've seen Camille picked every so often here and there, but to have it banned up this early is kind of surprising, because yesterday was this Olaf pick that was getting banned a whole lot, and, well, they immediately gets first picked as a result.
Well, time change, you know, Tasty. Like, we live in a different era now. It's 2021. You know, everything is possible now in new ages. So, yeah, Camille is definitely a good ban, though, to be honest, because it's such a flexible choice. You can go Baron lane, you can go jungle, and then it doesn't matter which lane she goes to. It's always going to be a problem. You have to always worry about where she is all the time. So, I respect the ban. Now, obviously, when you have a special ban like this, even though it's a really good pick, again, when you have a ban like this, it has to be something related to maybe respect ban. You know, maybe they know that Mayhem is secretly practicing this strategy. And today, if you win the third place, you're gonna get $250. If you lose, you're gonna get $150. So, I mean, that's a nice $100 difference there. You know, they want to do whatever they can to win this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Only 3 games stand between you and an extra $100. I'd take that any day of the week and, you know, try and get that little bit of extra cash in your pockets. But looking at the way this draft is shaping up, 2 very strong comps so far through the first 3 picks or so here. As having the Xayah Rakan on the side of Mayhem, always a strong bottom lane duo, always going to be a threat with that Xayah as the game goes later. And of course, Olaf, he's always going to be that, you know, first target going in, being just immune to all the crowd control, trying to get onto the back line. So I like the fact that they picked up the Ezreal after seeing the Olaf, because Ezreal is one of those champions that, even with Olaf barreling down at you, if you can blink over a wall, all of a sudden that Olaf can't get to you. Yeah,
exactly. And she have so much built-in mobility, right? Israel is one of the champions that, again, I've said it many times, and I'll say it again, really good at poking, but really good at really mobile at the same time, right? On top of flash, on top of your E. This guy is packed with a whole lot of stuff, right? Not only does he do damage, he's also really hard to catch. So you gotta have a lot of stuff ready when you're getting ready to dive in Israel. It does add a little bit of difficulty, many layers of difficulty for the jungler, the Kodo, on the Olaf to be able to get to this guy. On top of it, you gotta go through a Braum passive. It goes through a true damage from Garen's ultimate. Obviously, Lee Sin's not gonna do much besides providing a little bit of burst. So I like the Israel pick, and right away you see both teams are picking really aggressive draft in game 1. They really want to win, because in game 1, if you're able to have a lead on your opponent, that's a lot of pressure right off the bat. It's only best out of 3. If you win one more match, it's match point right away. Best out of 5, excuse me. So yeah, I like the bends and picks from both teams so far. Definitely make a lot of sense. I think for YAWN, they're looking for another Zig-like mage for their mid lane. Who do you think they will probably go with here?
I mean, really, the options that we see a lot of teams go with tend to lean towards like the Ahri or the Galio, but Corki is one that used to be very prevalent, but we haven't actually seen much of throughout Mobile Mayhem this month. So, you know, I'd be a little bit surprised if they lock this one in, but at the same time, it's kind of just that throwback, and there it is. This is going to get locked in. So a little bit of a throwback comp here with the Corki, Lee Sin, Ezreal, Braum, and then throwing in Garen there for good measure. You know, Garen has one that has been dominant recently, but really only came into his own recently. It is within the last month or so is when Garen has really rose to power in Wild Rift.
Yeah, and I think a good job for YAWN developers for coming out with the God Garen skin at the same time. Really a successful event, I would say. Saw a lot of Garen skin. When you go to the ranked game, you see everybody has it. Doesn't matter which tier you're in, people buy Garen skin. As one of the most popular champions throughout time, throughout history. So yeah, definitely coming to the power, to the throne, to the king position of the Baron lane. It makes sense. You know, I like when OG champions are actually meta instead of just some dead weight champions you can only pick in lower tier. So this is great. Yeah. You know what surprised me the most though is how Garen is actually a pick that a lot of pro players use to go against Darius, which I always thought Darius counter Garen in a lot of ways, but then somehow it's like a reverse power dynamic in actual practice. You know, I never figured out how that is.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is just being able to, Garen can go kind of be that quick hitter in a sense where he can go in, get those, especially with the procs of Grasp of the Undying. That is really what has set Garen into that upper echelon of being extremely strong. So, you know, use that Grasp of the Undying proc, you combine that with his first ability, and it's just a huge chunk of damage. He gets a little bit of health back, and then just backs off, waits for the next Grasp of the Undying proc, and then goes back in. Whereas Darius, he wants to be doing that continuous damage. He wants to be fighting someone, and Garen can just prevent that from happening.
Yeah, true. Also, Garen's a really tanky target. I think in lane, you probably have a little bit of advantage for Darius because Darius does provide, you know, the early stacks. Oh, speaking of early...
Right off the bat, going to be a little bit of a trade there. No one really taken too low. Everyone did kind of just, you know, throw out an ability and then back off. So everyone's going to be relatively safe, but it does stop any early invade potential. But a lot of my attention is going to be on this early game here in the Baron lane of the Garius. That's the name for this matchup. I'm calling it now. But Garen versus Darius. Again, want to see who gets the upper hand early in this one.
Yeah. I mean, you can see like MTS doing not bad at all. Just, you know, throwing those skill ones onto Darius every time you get a chance to. And right now, from what I see, he's out trading. Ooh, a little bit more. Okay. Yeah,
nice trade answer there by Sirento. But that's right there is the key interaction that we just saw of having to, you know, when Darius throws out his first ability, the spin, you want to avoid that outer ring, and Garen can do that. He can go in and hit his first ability to get the silence, but also avoid that early damage and heal. But now Darius, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. Will be able to survive and eat that honey fruit to stay healthy, but Garen absolutely winning these early trades.
Yeah, and also just right now, I don't know why we see this many of mid lane like stare down, I would say, like, because this trade-off skills. If you look at like many games we've seen so far, it doesn't matter if it's a Goons game, Tribes game, Mayhem's game, everyone seems to have like a jungle and a mid, just stay in mid lane, like 2-on-2 situation, right? Like this has been happening for many games in a row, which is kind of odd because usually you don't expect jungle to stay mid. Maybe they will camp on the side bush and just come out for a surprise burst and probably leave and go to the jungle or go to the bush again. But so far we're seeing quite a bit of stare down from both sides. Quite interesting. And another thing that I noticed, I think a lot of players watching. Ooh, before that, bottom side.
Nice jump on the Braum, but he's going to be able to dash out to the safety of his carry. But that is going to be a blue buff stolen away by the side of Mayhem. Ooh. And so currently sitting on the 2 buffs for Mayhem to only the 1 that has been picked up by the side of YAWN. And I find it very interesting that Zenith Rank 1 decided to go back into this side of the jungle after they just knew that blue buff had been stolen away. Typically, when that blue buff steal happens, if you know it, you immediately go to the enemy's blue buff to try and make sure that you don't get triple buffed.
You see, what I do think is kind of interesting is how they would give up that blue buff to begin with. They do have Braum, they do have Lee Sin, they do have Israel and Corki. If you're talking about early game damage, early game stun, when before Olaf really have the ultimate, the invincibility, I mean, that's the time you want to fight them. You know, if they want, especially when they're in your territory. Like, instead of trading, we have a team comp that focus on early game. You want to be trading, you want to be fighting them instead. So, ooh, Top lane spotted.
Oh, ultimate, but is the ignite going to be enough? It's taking down this barrier, has to come through.
Oh, Lee Sin!
Live, but Lee Sin dashing under the turret, throwing the energy ball and getting the kill. Great job there by this duo of MTS Amazing and Zenith Rank 1 to secure themselves that first blood.
Yeah. Again, like I really think the maybe the Camille ban was a respect ban for Sorrento, because we've seen Sorrento play Camille before. Didn't leave too much of an impression, but maybe today, secret practice, or maybe even just for Kodo. But we know Kodo for Fizz jungle, right? So, bottom side.
Bottom side, a little bit of a skirmish there, but not really ain't going to be anything coming from that. Both AD carries dropping to about half health, and they go back to their separate ways.
Just trading some skills, and so far been pretty peaceful, except for the first blood. Definitely come off on top for MTS. If once you give Garen that advantage and allows him to rotate or building that Sapphire Aegis really early on, Garen just become a monster. Like his wave clear, his lane presence, it's gonna be insane. But it's gonna be Darius who make to the dragon first, though. Are they gonna start it? Let's find out.
Yeah, Dragon is getting started here, and no one is really starting to answer just yet. Looks like they're trying to get themselves into a better position before they try and contest the Dragon, but they're gonna have to go quick because this Dragon's going down very low, under 1,000 health. Dragon is secured, and now the team fight's happening in package, getting right through the Dragon's hit, and that's a lot of damage as Perry is just stuck on it. He's gonna be ending up dropping, and Garen finding himself a double kill, taking down 2. When all is said and done, it's 4 kills to the side of YAWN.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I mean, am I seeing that right? Because that was, if you go back to take a look at the replay, that was a 3 versus 5 to begin with. So it was just a Braum in the front and Elysian going to steal. It wasn't a 4-on-5-on-5 until much later, but before that, a little bit more action in the lane.
Yeah, a little bit of a skirmish here in the mid lane. Knockup only connects onto the Garen, and he's going to be way too tanky for them to get anything off of that. So Mayhem, do end up saving this turret. They are able to defend that objective, and they did get the Dragon for themselves. So yes, they lost 4 kills, and they are now starting to slip behind in gold as well, but they prevented themselves from falling even further behind with that play.
Yeah. I mean, but from the early skirmishes, we already kind of see a power dynamic between the two teams. You see a dominant, like, pressuring performance coming out from Team YAWN right off the bat. In fact, Garen's 1 versus 2 right now. He knows he's unkillable. Yep.
Just eating all the damage. And that's one of the most frustrating things, to just be sitting there knowing in a 2v1, getting your combos off, getting your damage out, and just being like, well, we just don't have a chance at killing him.
Yeah, and on top of it, Garen is willingly going to take the trade. I think it's just trying to buy some time. He knows they cannot burst him down. Because you look at his HP right now, he's back to full HP. In fact, most likely he'll get his bottom tier 1 tower as the first tower, as Darius is not interested in defending this at all. They really want to get this Rift Herald, which in no way, in my opinion, is as important as the first tower. So I think this is definitely not a good trade. In fact, look at the mid lane's being pressured in also. It's 1 bar HP left, and then they're going to try to get it.
Yeah, it's going to be Shockwave used by Tsuki just onto the Corki, who's just going to Valkyrie over the wall and get out to safety. So that's another big ultimate used to no effect. And like you said, the Rift Herald is generally used to get yourself the first turret.
Exactly.
If you are trading 2 towers for a Rift Herald, that is not a worthwhile trade to be taking.
Yeah, that's definitely not a worse trade. And on top of it, look, Garen just got to finish the second item. He's rich now, 7,000 gold compared to a Darius who's sitting at 4K, not even 4K yet, right? This guy is 3,000 gold ahead, 1 full item ahead, and Darius is still struggling to finish 1 simple item. I think he's going for Trinity Force, his first item. Like right now, if he get dunked by this Garen, it's gonna be game over, right? Because Garen's almost 2 levels ahead. It's at this point, this Darius, the only option for him to join team fights, he can't even stay in lane. He can't even stay outside the tower. He's just gonna get one-shotted by Garen, to be honest.
Yeah, the only way back into this game for this Darius is to, happen to be in a fight where he's able to get a reset on the ultimate and just pick up a couple of kills in rapid succession. Otherwise, he's just going to continue to fall further and further behind, especially Garen. Now that he has both the Sunfire and the Thornmail, I mean, who's going to be the one to deal damage to him? Olaf can't attack him because he's going to get that grievous wounds, and that's 90% of Olaf's survivability in a fight has the lifesteal. Darius can't lifesteal as effectively with his first ability. You really are only looking at the Orianna, who can do any sort of decent damage. And if Orianna's trying to focus a Garen, you've pretty much already lost the game.
Yeah, and Orianna has no item right now. Even if we talk about Orianna doing poke to Garen, like, she's not gonna out-poke the regeneration, the sustain from a Garen at this point of the game. So you're really looking at a dilemma for the entire Mayhem right here. Dragon's coming up.
That's a lot of damage onto Parry as right as the dragon is spawning. Immediately, YAWN is going to go ahead and start this up. The Rift Herald is dropped by Mayhem. Corki drops the package just as a line to keep everyone at bay. The Blast Cone is up, so they do have a way into the pit if they want it. But do they want to actually get in there? It's a nice ultimate. That's a lot of knockups, but it's not going to be enough as already Corki finds himself a kill. The Ezreal ult goes across the entire team, and Garen is just on the back line, spinning and winning. A triple kill for the Garen, and when all is said and done, this should be an ace for the side of Mayhem or of YAWN as they try and chase down this one final kill. Soju Rain dodging everything. They don't quite get the ace, but they get 4 kills and now can return their attention back to this dragon.
Oh my goodness. Like, again, I gotta return to the power mechanic, the power dynamic between the two teams. Like, right off the bat, you can see the entire team, YAWN, is feeling a lot more aggressive, a lot more confident. You know, when you play a game, you really want to come in with a lot of confidence. Right? You can see that from Team YAWN going against their opponent today, right? I mean, the way how they play, it just feel like they have nothing holding them back. When they want to go in, it's a clear engage, it's a clear, especially from MTS. Right? MTS is literally 1 versus 4. Like he dove in, he knows how much gold he has, he knows how far ahead he is. So if you look at Garen's gold, 9,600 gold, compared to the richest person from the entire side of Team Mayhem, who's only sitting at merely 6,000. So you can't kill this Garen right now. I mean, I really don't see a way for, unless they 4 people catch Garen off guard. It's really MTS. Is MTS willing to give Team Mayhem the win this game? I don't think he is, because he's a really careful player. And then we're talking about like professional experience. I've mentioned this over and over again. I don't think anyone has more experience than MTS in this matchup, in this lineup specifically.
Yeah, I mean, and this Garen is just so far ahead. I mean, who's going to deal with him? If he wants to split push, nobody can stop him. If he wants to go aggressive, nobody can stop him. And right now, he puts a little bit of pressure on the bottom lane, and the rest of the team is starting up the Baron. 11 minutes in, this Baron is about to drop, and Kodo is just now finding out that this is even happening. It's way too late. The Baron is taken, and now the fight is on. The Shockwave hits multiple people, but only does about a quarter of their health. That's not going to be enough damage, and they get the Baron. Nobody goes down, and now everyone on the side of YAWN can just recall, purchase some extra items, pick up the package for Corki, and then look for a push with these Baron-empowered minions.
Yeah, and again, Garen just finished a Demon play, the 3rd item he has now. Look at everybody else, right? I mean, this guy's decked out, but entire Team Mayhem right here, we're looking at a 2-item finish at max on Orianna, right? So it's not looking good. If they want to have a chance to win this game, they really gotta wait this out for like what, like I think 20 minutes when Orianna have a chance to farm up. At this point, it's not likely, and then they are lacking the damage to even clear this Baron minion wave, because how strong it is for Baron buff on this minion wave. Like you can see they're struggling. They're taking so much poke just to clear a minion wave right now. Outside.
Yep. And that's going to be Darius taken down once more. Meanwhile, on the bottom side of the map, Ezreal and Braum are almost taking out Parry, but they're going to get a turret for their troubles as well. 3-0-2 is the push right now, and they are just taking everything off this map. They're clearing out the jungle on their way as well, and there's just nothing there for the side of Mayhem to farm. It is just all YAWN right now, with the Baron buff minions still making their way in towards these final couple of turrets. The inner turret in mid is down, and now it is only base turrets left standing.
Yeah, and that's what I say about like the teams ignoring standing gold. You cannot give up a tower to go for a dragon right now in the game. Like, especially with how much nerf they did to dragons and all that. Doesn't matter what dragon it is. You have to understand, early dragon is all about like, do you have the lane prior? Do you have the rotation priority? If you don't have it, you don't have to force it. Because giving standing gold is a lot more scary. But before that, bottom side,
Oh, Rakan trying to make a play happen. They do get a lot of damage onto the Garen, but he's a Garen. He's not going to go down. Instead, turns and gets a dunk. And that's going to be yet another kill racked up for the side of YAWN. 11-0 now. The gold lead is 16,000 in their favor. Another dragon is about to spawn. Their health is low. I don't think they're even going to care about that, though. They're just going to go right for this dragon.
Yeah.
Or actually, no, it looks like some of them are recalling. So they are going to play it a little bit safer. But, I mean, they only need 2 to go after this dragon. That's all they're going to be bothering with. No one from the side of Mayhem can even risk trying to contest this.
To be honest, I think just need 1. They just need MTS, right? As long as you have Garen in the front line, I mean, they can't go through this line. Look how many people Garen is scaring off single-handedly, right? He just stays up front, and all 3 people are like, oh my god, a Garen! And they start running away. Like, that's exactly what's happening. They're yelling, I mean, they're running. Just scaring bunch of cats is literally how it is. And now topside, Darius might not be able to escape this one.
No, not at all. He gets stopped. The recall gets stopped by the Ezreal, and then Garen is just on the chase. He flashed out, does get out for now. Maybe even able to escape. Shockwave only hits 2. But Garen is now godlike. That's another kill picked up. A double kill for Garen. Gets the triple kill. Can he find more? Looking for the quadra. Did that one go to him? I don't know. No, it went to the Ezreal. So no penta going to be possible. Oh, Ezreal actually got 2 of those. So that was a misread on my part. But it doesn't matter who gets the kill. All that matters in the end is that the kills came through, the turrets are falling, and the game is over.
Yeah, just like that. It seemed like a bait from Darius' side. It seemed like Mayhem had a plan, right? But then they're kind of baiting their opponent, baiting that Garen deeper. But then the standing goal difference, just a sheer difference on farm is too much right now to overpower. Like, look at, it's a 0-16 perfect game. I don't think that Team YAWN didn't lose a single tower. You know, if you look at the tower damage and look at total hero damage, champion damage that each side did, it's just not on the same level, except for maybe Suki, who did a little bit more damage as a mid laner. But again, that's not enough on a Garen who finished like 4 or 5 items going to the late game. It's 8-0-5, well-deserved MVP for MTS.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that Mayhem was able to get that game was the Rift Herald. Other than that, yeah, like you said, completely.
Wait, did they get a dragon?
They got a dragon? Yeah, they did get 1 dragon. They got one dragon in the game. But yeah, absolute dominance from the side of YAWN pretty much throughout. I mean, you look at that gold graph, it's, you know, the old adage, it's a gold ocean, and it absolutely is. You can see the little sandy beach there at the first 3 minutes, and then it just becomes the Marianas Trench by the time you end up down there at the 12 to 13 minute mark. Absolutely one-sided game. Hopefully it won't be a one-sided series, but that game was not close.
Yeah. And then just quickly come back to the analyst desk. I think for the play for the teams, for Team Mayhem especially, I think they really gotta play more confidently. Right? When you have, doesn't matter who your opponents are, doesn't matter who it is. Like, you execute on your game plan, play towards your game, right? Doesn't matter how the enemy play their games. You don't want to play reactively. That's the last thing you want to do in a competitive environment. And then that's what we saw last game. Hopefully Mayhem can quickly readjust himself and really give us a series here. But do not go anywhere, guys. If you're watching the stream, drop the like, subscribe, and turn the bell on, and share the stream with your friends. Today is the grand finals for the first league format tournaments in North America. Once again, powered by Mobile Mayhem and Trovo.live. If you're watching the stream right here, make sure to use the link in the chat right now to go to Trovo, because the grand finals will be streamed exclusively on Trovo. And make sure to follow our sexy tasty bacon on Twitter so you can follow all the future events he will get himself involved in. With that, we're gonna go ahead and take a short break. We'll see you guys in a minute.